All right. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Appreciate everyone joining today, our Sage Intacct Release 3 2025 overview webinar. We're going to get started today with some brief introductions, and then we're going to follow that with a presentation of the Sage Intacct Release 3 2025 highlights. And then we're going to wrap up our webinar today with an exciting presentation of the Velixo solution. Okay, without further ado, your presenters for today is myself, Heather Broberg. I'm a principal here at GRF CPAs and the Director of Technology Services. GRF CPAs Advisors, for those of you who do not know who we are, is based in Bethesda, Maryland. We serve clients in the DMV as well as nationally and internationally. Our firm serves a wide variety of clients. We cover nonprofits, for-profits, schools, government contractors, and others. However, our primary niche is within the NFP and INGO space. We've been in operation for several decades, and back in 2021, we celebrated our 40th year anniversary. Today, you're also going to have a very special treat. We're joined by Jim Norton, Senior Product Manager at Velixo. For those who are not aware of what Velixo does, they're an award-winning solution that combines the power and flexibility of Excel with leading ERPs like Sage Intacct. So be sure to stay on the call for the second portion of the presentation, as Jim will provide a demonstration of some of the amazing features of the Velixo solution. A couple of housekeeping items. Please note that the webinar is not intended as financial advice. It's simply for educational purposes. And then also we have a lot of exciting content to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay. I'd like to start off our session today talking a little bit about the enhancements that were made to the fixed assets management module. For those that leverage this module today, you're going to notice by my screen captures that the look and feel is a little different. Sage has added a new setting called historical accumulated depreciation. This allows a user to select either the system to calculate historical depreciation automatically or manually enter the depreciation amount. Previously, the only option was to allow the system to do automatic calculations. Now we have the ability to change that. If a user selects the enter manually, a new field, as you will see here on my screen, historical accumulated depreciation amount will appear. When the asset is placed in service, the depreciation schedule is also then adjusted so that the sum of all of the historical posted entries are equivalent to the custom value that you had entered. Another enhancement to fixed assets management, which is very exciting, is the ability for the bulk revert of posted depreciation entries. What this means that if a user posts depreciation accidentally, or perhaps wants to place an asset back in review status, they can now quickly undo all of the postings. Previously, you would have to do them one at a time. We can now do them in mass. And this really is going to save a lot of time and reduce manual efforts. And then last but not least, here in fixed assets management, Sage has added the ability to view cumulative depreciation and update the daily depreciation method. So you can see here on my screenshot that there's a new column in the depreciation schedules view. It's titled cumulative depreciation amount. It is showing a running total of the accumulated depreciation for this specific asset. So an example of how this is used, the cumulative depreciation amount for period 3, as you see here on my screen, is of course the sum of periods 1 and 2. This really is added visibility, which is going to help users track depreciation at a glance and then reduce the need to do manual calculations. Users can also add this same column in the post depreciation list and in all custom reports. And then this, well, I said last but not least, but I actually have one other quick enhancement I want to share for fixed assets as well. The new data import service that I introduced in our release here about 4 releases ago, release 3 of 2024, has been enhanced, which we're going to talk more about the import service later in today's session. But the addition of fixed assets to this import service is super exciting. So what this is going to allow users to do is leverage the new import service to both bring in new assets as well as update assets in bulk. Some examples of those updates that can be done, as you can see here on my screen, you can place assets in service, you can dispose of assets, you can transfer them, place them back in a review status. You can also put them back in service and then update any of your asset details. Users can download the templates from the company module under import data. There is a feature for, as you see on my screen, new import service. And then under fixed management, assets management, there is a template that can be downloaded. When you use the import template, you only need to populate the IDs of the assets. And then you can add a column to your spreadsheet for only the information that you want to update. For example, if you want to update the asset cost, you only need to enter the ID of the asset and then add a column for cost, and no additional information is needed. You can proceed to import. So it's really going to save a lot of time and effort so that you can update multiple assets at once, in lieu of course, modifying each one manually. It's going to simplify workflows. We can mass move forward assets into new statuses, and then it's going to scale easily across your organization. So this is really exciting updates to fixed assets management. All right. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about the user interface updates that have come about in the R3 release. Okay, perfect. So R3 2024, which I mentioned a few minutes ago, brought about these enhanced list views. Sage began the deployment then, but as the releases have then come about, they are adding new records with new lists. So the new enhanced lists within Sage Intacct are actually soon going to become the default experience. Today, you have to go in and say, I'd like to turn it on. It is soon going to be the default, and then you will have to turn it off. It's going to be rolled out in phases, so you're gradually going to see it across your environment as you toggle through the different screens. It can be turned on manually until it's formally rolled out. So if you're on a list view, such as the vendor list view that I'm showing here on my screen, you can go ahead and click the radio dial button to turn on the enhanced list. Most, but not all of the lists have been upgraded. So if you don't see a radio dial button to turn it on, it means that one has not yet been rolled out. And then of course, to turn it on, you can just click on that radio dial button that I mentioned. And then to turn it off, you can just toggle that back off again. All right. A little bit more about these enhanced list views. I wanted to share with you what the kind of the key benefits are for all of you. One, advanced filtering. It is much easier to filter within the enhanced list views. I would challenge everyone to begin turning these on if you have not yet and start to leverage them, because you're definitely going to find the ease of the filtering right out of the gate. Sorting is also much, much easier. We did a demo of this back in our R3 2024 release, where we talked about you can click on the headers now of your columns and sort right from within these headers. You can do bulk operations. You could personalize them. You can do exports from these lists with much fewer clicks. And then there's also split views available here. Another item I wanted to mention in terms of the user interface enhancements is, as we all know, Sage is making an effort to roll out what's referred to as an enhanced interface. The enhanced list views and other things throughout the system are going to become a fully enhanced interface. Sage has also made some enhancements within the Help Center to allow users to better navigate the enhanced interface. So as you can see here on my screen, there is first and foremost the ability to switch languages. So when you log into the Help Center in Intacct, you're going to see this drop down at the top of your screen. You can change the language so that users can view documentation in their preferred language. Additionally, there is a toggle button. Once you hone in on the content that you want to look at, you'll see that there is a toggle button called Enhanced Interface. You have the ability to turn that on. When you turn that on, you are then going to get a second screen. What that is doing is it is updating the documentation so that it is relevant to the new enhanced interface throughout the application. So the first one would be, this is how I navigate the old layout within Intacct. This is how I navigate the new layout. And so that content will continually be updated. All right. Moving right into some company and administration items. I said earlier that we would talk a little bit more about the Intacct import service. This release has also brought some enhancements across that import services in addition to the fixed assets deployment. We know that importing data is a critical function. We do it almost daily. Sage is definitely making it easier than ever with this new import service. Really, instead of sending your data into what we refer to as the black box, waiting for an error report via email, you now have a dedicated import workspace. This is going to provide users with real-time visibility and control of your imports. And you have the ability to leverage this service for several new records. We talked about assets already. Chart of accounts and statistical accounts were previously there. Oops, didn't mean to go up there just yet. But now we also have classes, department, and locations. And then for those that are leveraging inventory, there is also WIP management as well as inventory options in the import service. Again, to get to the new import service, you're going to log into the company module, as you see here on the left of my screen. The very top, you will see import workspace, and then you will just click right there on the new import service. A little bit more about that about the Intacct import service. You can now upload multiple tab spreadsheets. You can skip columns and rows. So as you can see here on my screen, I have the ability to X any of the columns or rows that were brought in from my spreadsheet that I don't want. And then you can see errors at a line level. You can quickly then find and replace and fix the errors. So again, we're not sending into the black hole, waiting on an error file to our email. Even before we input, Intacct is going to do a validation and tell us the errors that we need to fix at the line level, and then we could import in with no errors. Moving right into the general ledger, there's really one enhancement that I wanted to call out. It's around journal entries. For those of you that do most of your viewing at the entity level, you now have an ability to view top level transactions at the entity level for journal transactions. So you're going to see that there is this box that says include top level transactions. So from within your journal entries list view at the entity level, you can check that box, and then it is going to allow you to see top level transactions alongside of your entity level transactions. If you are already using enhanced lists, then top level transactions are automatically included. Okay. All right, let's spend a couple minutes talking a little bit about the enhancements in accounts receivable. The first one I wanted to mention is customer refunds. Previously, as we know, there was not a customer refund option. Users would have needed to have created a vendor and then an accounts payable bill to be able to remit funds to a customer for a refund. Well, with this release, Intacct has brought the ability to generate refunds from within AR. So we can record and track the refunds directly in receivables. It also supports advances, overpayments, adjustments, and then negative invoices. You can do a record transferred payment method only, meaning you cannot do it by a check. This is assuming that you have done this electronically. And then refund in full or even a partial amount. One caveat is it has to be the same base currency. little bit more in regard to the customer refunds. If you want to turn on this functionality in your environment, an administrator will need to go to the AR configuration and make a few updates. The first one is to check the box to enable the recording of customer refunds. And then you will need to create a journal within the general ledger module for refunds. And then review your summary frequency for posting customer refunds. So this again is also on the AR configuration. Normally I would suggest setting this to 1 per refund. And then of course, you will want to create document sequencing. So a numbering schematic for those refunds as they are issued. And then for any users that you intend to actually leverage this refund functionality, you'll want to go into the AR permissions within their user profile and give them the ability to do so. Another enhancement within accounts receivable is the ability to apply payments without leaving the customer list view. So as you see here on my screen, this is my customer list view. There is off to the far right-hand side an apply payments option. This is going to allow you to, again, receive payments without leaving this customer list. It's going to open a receive payments pop-up with it, and then it's going to show you all of the open invoices. It's going to work at top level and entity level. The benefit, fewer steps to do payment receipt. It's going to improve efficiency for those AR personnel, and then it's going to log in the posted payments audit trail as well. Additionally, we now have the ability to apply credits in a more seamless manner. There's been some expansion to that credit application functionality. Credits can be applied to multiple invoices at once, right from the receive a payment screen. You can distribute the credits automatically, apply the credits from advances or adjustments, and you also have an option to override the distribution before you post it. One of the updates that this release brought in the accounts payable module is the ability for users to delegate their approval responsibility to another user when needed. This is something that's been asked for quite some time. For those that are using AP approvals today, you know that previously an administrator would need to go in and update the actual approval workflow when someone needed to delegate. Now users can do that on their own, and they can manage their delegates as well. So what does this do for us? Maintain seamless bill approval workflows. So if someone needs to be out on PTO or it's an unplanned absence, we can go ahead and delegate. It's going to eliminate delays and need for manual intervention in the approval process, like I mentioned previously. We can delegate to both individuals and even a user group. So maybe there are multiple people that may cover someone while they're out. You can do a user group instead. And then, of course, it supports compliance and accountability. It's going to have all of the audit trails and delegation logs so that we know who was approving on behalf of each user. And then I'm super excited to share the release of vendor payments powered by Mineral Tree. For those that are leveraging the Sage AP automation today or doing AP directly in Sage Intacct without the automation, this is really going to provide a full end-to-end solution. Right within Sage Intacct, you're going to have the ability to pay vendors via ACH, virtual card, or a check. You can do it across all of your entities. It will then also be combined with your current AP workflows. So all of the approvals for bills and payments are supported. There is a direct debit funding for faster payments, easier reconciliation. And then within Sage Intacct, you'll be able to maintain all of your vendor records, preferences, send them remittances. And then, of course, there is some cashback rebates on virtual card spend to help offset ACH and other fees. Now, this is available today. If it's something that you think would benefit your organization, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share more details on this with you. Another enhancement within accounts payable, very similar to what was deployed in accounts receivable, is a new pay button that allows users to pay an AP bill directly from the vendor listing. So you can see over here on my screen, there is a pay option. It's going to, just as with an accounts receivable, open up a secondary window where you can pay the bills. It's going to provide you a list of all the vendor open bills so you can select the bills you'd like to pay at that time. Again, available at both top and entity level, and it is default advanced filters automatically will apply to these lists. All right. I want to talk just a little bit about cash management today. For those that are currently leveraging the Notcha payment file functionality out of Sage Intacct for ACH payments, Intacct has now deployed some additional formats. This is in conjunction with bank files through Sage Cloud Services. So the new file formats are shown here on my screen. Don't have to memorize these. I'm going to be sending out these slides later. But if you have been struggling with your bank accepting prior formats, there are now some additional ones that may be of benefit to you. And then, of course, with the Sage Cloud Services subscription, users can enable the bank file payments, select the applicable Notcha file format, and it can be done at an account level, and then pay vendors or employees with this option. This allows you to then generate the Notcha file that you can then provide to your bank to remit the ACH payments on your behalf. Okay. We are going to spend kind of the remainder of the highlight time talking a little bit about Sage AI, what's available now, what's coming, and take just a little bit of a deeper dive into that. I'd like to share some exciting news about the AI enhancements that Sage is doing. Some of the things that we're going to talk about are the close automation. What this close automation does, streamlines and accelerates the month-end close. We're going to take a deeper dive into these close automation enhancements here in just a few minutes. There is also AP automation, which has been available and is in place. And then, of course, Sage Intelligent Time for those that are leveraging timesheets. There is also outlier detection, which I've talked about in a couple of the prior release webinars as well. And then cash prediction and optimization, which is coming soon. There is also some AI that's been embedded within the Help Center, which a lot of you have probably noticed already. So there is AI within the search help, providing users with direct conversational answers. So now you can go in, ask Copilot a question, it will search the help for you. There is also going to be some advanced search deployments with this functionality as well. All right. Let's talk a little bit about close automation. It is now generally available and it can be deployed within your Sage Intacct environment. So as I mentioned before, what does it do? Streamlines and accelerates the close process. It's going to track tasks, flag issues, and really guide your team through each of these steps. The savings here is going to be the reduction in manual effort, and it's going to accelerate the time that it takes you to close. You're going to close faster and with more confidence. Go ahead and advance my slide here. So what is close automation? It really is a collection of Sage AI-powered tools. We're going to talk a little bit about each of those. They are modern. They are going to allow you to, as I mentioned before, accelerate your month-end close, help your team move faster, stay aligned through the close process, and really surface issues before they cause delays. So as you can see here on my screen, why does it matter? Most of us are still managing our close with spreadsheets, emails. Close automation is going to structure that. It's going to make a proactive process that's more efficient, insightful, and collaborative. So what are the benefits? Going to save hours in your close process. You're going to see issues early because there's going to be a continuous variance analysis throughout the month. And then teams are going to be able to stay in sync. There are shared checklists, dashboards, and task collaboration. So all really exciting features within this close automation. What I wanted to share here is a little bit about what those pieces of the close automation are, what's available now, and what's coming. So first and foremost, there is variance analysis. This is available now as part of the close automation. It automatically detects variances between actual and budget and provides explanations. Those explanations are going to come with drill down access. I'll show you a little bit more on my next slide of what that looks like. It's going to, again, reduce back and forth between finance and budget owners, because you'll be able to see the variances, drill in, and they're not going to have to go ask. And it's, of course, going to support a faster, more confident reporting. The close assistant is another component of the close automation. It is available now as well. You can track tasks to completion across AR, AP, GL, and other close workflows. So it is full of proactive alerts. It really allows users to avoid delays, missed items, and see dependencies. So it's going to keep your close on schedule, improve visibility into task completion, reduce manual tracking and follow-ups amongst your team, and then strengthen your internal controls and audit controls. And then last but not least here, as part of this core package, is the subledger reconciliation assistant. This has just become available with a couple of days ago. It's going to automate the process of comparing your subledgers to your GL and then flagging any discrepancies in real time. That's, of course, going to save time, because we know that manual reconciliations are very time consuming, going to reduce manual errors and missed adjustments. And then it is also going to allow you to identify the mismatches earlier and help you resolve them, and then generate audit ready reports. All of these three components are a part of the close automation tool. If this is something that you are looking at integrating into your Sage Intacct environment, please reach out to me. I'm happy to provide additional information and assist with that. Over here to the right of my screen, you can see that I've noted the close workspace. This is something that is coming. As a part of the close workspace, there's going to be checklists and notification. Right now, there is an early adopter program that is available. There will be a link on the slide deck if that is something that you are interested in. As with all other early adopter programs, you can fill out the form, and then you'll be able to say that you would like to be a part of that program. There is also going to be a visibility and collaboration module that is released. It is now set for early adopter in November of 2025. This is going to make up what we refer to as the full close automation. All right, let's talk a little bit about that variance analysis. It's maybe a little blurry on your screen, but want to talk through what this is going to do for us. Again, this is something that is available now, was just deployed a couple of days ago. So subledger reconciliations normally slow down our month-end close. So why do we want variance analysis? This Copilot subledger reconciliation assistant is going to automate a reconciliation report, and it is going to provide highlights on your variances, provide drill down insights for faster resolution. And so if you take a look here on my screen, the little screen capture of the insights that is going to pop up in Sage Intacct for you. In this, it is comparing for me budget versus actual. This is one way we can use our variance analysis. And our budget stakeholders can click here. They can see their budget versus actual insights. They can get a full report on that. They can get information on what's driving these variances, drill into the transactions causing the variances, and they don't have to reach out to the accounting team to find that out. So this variance analysis is really going to increase accuracy and drive better financial outcomes. Right, advance my slide. A little bit more on our close assistant. Again, this is something that is available now. Close management with Copilot, visibility and ease of navigation to standardize that month-end close. So if you look over here at my screen capture, you can see a little snippet of what's happening. The assistant here, let me go down just a little bit. All right. Oops, sorry. This close assistant is going to allow you to see all of your closed tasks. You can see here on my screen, I have accounts payable. I can review unposted bills. I can close the AP ledger. For AR, I can review unposted invoices, close the AR ledger. You can see I can click here to drill into what's been closed so far. There is also a chat history function. This is where you can chat back and forth with your accounting team to get updates on what is going on. And then, of course, you can add things to this list like bank reconciliations and cash management, subledger reconciliation in the GL. But this is really going to allow you within a click of a button to have a synopsis of where you are on your month-end close, what is waiting to be done, and what is done already. And then the subledger reconciliation assistant that I talked a little bit about earlier, this is going to give us an automated reconciliation report. It's going to highlight the variances, and it's going to provide the drill down insights so that we can resolve these faster. If we did take a look here on my screen, this is doing a variance analysis between my general ledger and accounts payable. I can see that for my second entity, this is off. The system is now going to tell me below are the top 5 reasons for your variance. And then it's going to tell you exactly what those reasons are. AP journal entries are made to the GL that don't appear in the subledger. And then if we drill in to our negative number here, it's going to bring me to those transactions that are causing those issues. So whereas today, finance teams spend countless hours combing through the data and reviewing the GL in order to determine the discrepancies, Intacct is going to do that for you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the closed workspace. So phase 1 is where we are right now. This is the groundwork that Sage is laying for really a more structured, reliable, and proactive close process. At this stage, the focus is on operational consistency and really getting every accounting team aligned with a repeatable checklist-driven workflow. You can see here on my screen, it is showing an example of what the closed checklist is going to look like with this phase 1. This is what is in early adopter now. So again, there will be a link on the slide deck. If it's something that you would like to participate in, you will have an option to do so. Finance teams are going to be able to build and reuse closed templates, tailor these templates to their specific processes across entities, departments, can make recurring monthly workflows. And then, of course, there's also going to be notifications that's going to keep the team on track. It's going to surface critical tasks that might be bottlenecks and really just keep the team all aligned. This release is going to empower all of you to shift from really a reactive task management to a proactive close oversight. Okay. And then, of course, phase 2, which early adopter coming in November of 2025, is really all about insights. And this is going to bring structure and transparency to processes. It's going to centralize tasks, surface those risks early. Really, what it is going to give you is a fabulous dashboard that gives you all of the analytics, real-time details about your close. There's going to be visual charts and some enhanced collaboration right from within this closed workspace dashboard. Again, coming November 2025 for early adopter. And I will be sure to share that out on our next new release webinar. All right, that really brings us to the end of all of the features that I wanted to cover in our Q3 2025 new release. I'd like to take the time now to move over to our final portion of our webinar, which is a demonstration of the Velixo solution. So please help me in welcoming Jim Norton with Velixo.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you all for inviting me. I can't believe how much more is in these releases than when I used to present on them as a Sage Intacct partner. And the fact that you did it so quickly is awesome. So I'm going to share my screen now with my slides. And once I get that shared, let's see. Okay, there we go. So everybody should be seeing my screen. All right, so thanks again. Welcome, everyone. And thanks for taking the time to watch our presentation today. I'm going to tell you a little bit today about Velixo for Sage Intacct Nonprofit, which is a solution that we launched dedicated to the nonprofit vertical. My name's Jim Norton. I'm a CPA and I'm a senior product manager at Velixo. And I'm excited to talk to you today about how we are catering to the unique needs of nonprofit and how we've gone really deep to understand the needs of that vertical and how we give you real-time budgeting and reporting that speaks the language of nonprofit and understands your mission. So a little bit about Velixo, as many of you may not have heard of us before. We are a global software company with a team spread out around the world. We are right now the top performing budgeting and reporting solution in the Sage Intacct marketplace. And we learned that from Sage when we attended the Sage Transform conference recently. We have a global footprint of thousands of customers around the world. We are implemented and supported by VAR partners like GRF. And we boast a leader badge on G2 for the financial analysis category and an almost perfect customer satisfaction score. So one of the things that I'd like to take you through is some of the challenges that we see in the space and why we believe that we're so prevalent and so interesting for you guys. First of all, the big challenge that we see in the space with Sage Intacct and nonprofits is limited flexibility. So often the tools in any ERP, when it comes to reporting, are good, but there's a certain point where you reach a limit. You can't analyze transactions as efficiently as you want. You can't necessarily achieve exactly the reports that you want in the way that your funders or donors or constituents, board members, executives, program teams want to see them. And this leads to the inability to produce the reports that your constituents demand on demand. And that's going to create frustration internally, inefficiencies, unoptimized decision-making, and to an extent, increased audit risk for the organization. Challenge number two. So challenge number one leads you into, oh, I'm just going to export it to Excel then and create what I need to. And with that comes challenge number two, the lack of live Excel integration. Right. So when you go and export things to Excel from whatever screen or report or object you're exporting from, you can't export and retain a live connection, right? Because most ERPs are not pre-built with a live connection to Excel. So that leads to what we call at Velixo copy and waste, which means that the minute you have exported something out of the system, that data is already obsolete and you run the risk of it being outdated. And challenge number three can be a slow data entry process. And again, not necessarily unique to Sage Intacct, but in most ERPs, data entry can be rather slow and time consuming. And consequently, this usually leads to fields not being maintained. Sometimes key fields, like fields on your project or grant object, start date, end dates, funder IDs that you need to rely on when it comes time to report or comes audit time. So data quality can suffer. This can be time consuming to clean up, cumbersome, and it can also lead, unfortunately, to increased audit risk. So the question that we set out to answer was, what if Sage Intacct and Excel worked seamlessly together so that your nonprofit reports were always live, audit ready, and met the needs of your constituents? And this is pretty much what Velixo is all about. So what we are is a live reporting, budgeting, and forecasting software in Excel as an add-in. And we augment the experience in Excel for added flexibility and automation. Now we're real time. There is no data staging, no data warehousing. We allow live exploration of data. We give you query builders and pre-built templates all in real time with a direct connection to Sage Intacct. We're deeply integrated to Sage Intacct, so you'll see throughout the demo that we respect the security model of Sage Intacct. All the permissions are going to be inherited when users log in. We have total flexibility to work with the terminology the way that you need to work with it. We have customization specific to Sage Intacct, and I look forward to showing you that very soon. Very importantly, Velixo is bi-directional, which means that it's not just a pull of data for reporting purposes, but we can also push data back to the ERP. And that extends well beyond just the budget. We can also push journal entries, create forecast entries, update any of your objects, projects, GL accounts, custom objects, whatever you may need to update. And because it's Excel, you already know Excel, right? There's no IT dependency here. You can really empower your teams to create the reports in whatever format or layout that they want. And we also come with a range of features and native integrations, such as the integrations that we support for Microsoft 365 and all of the applications in that ecosystem, including Copilot and the AI insights that come within Excel and Copilot. So without going into many more slides, I want to go right into the demo of Velixo. And this is going to be a helpful highlight of a few of the concepts from our nonprofit use cases and nonprofit templates. And then we'll close with information about a full-length session that we have coming up next week. If we have time for Q&A at the end, I'm certainly happy to cover it then. But otherwise, I will also follow up on any questions that we get post-webinar. So switching gears, I'm going to open up. I might need to stop my share and restart my share because my screen went gray. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, and restart my share. All right, so I've switched gears. I'm in one of my templates. This is one of the many templates that we have pre-built for nonprofit, part of our Velixo for Nonprofit solution. Now, Velixo, as I said, is a modern Excel add-in, which is stored in the Microsoft App Store, and you can download it directly from the Microsoft App Store. Now, if you have a license for Velixo, you'll be able to connect your ERP and start reporting on data immediately with no setup time or anything of that nature. If you do not have a license, Velixo comes with a short free trial. Now, that is limited in time. Once you've installed Velixo, it'll give you a way to connect your ERP in real time. And we're going to go into greater detail on all that Velixo 101 in our full-length session next week. So among other things, we have a series of pre-built, easy, gap-ready reports that give you maximum flexibility to map the information the way your organization needs. Templates like this one that you're looking at here are pre-built in an audit-ready presentation style with all the filters ready to go. For date ranges, standard and user-defined dimensions, and reporting books. Now, a big thing that these templates do, as you're going to see very soon, is they remove one of the biggest obstacles that we found nonprofits have getting started in Sage Intacct, which is we love the system, but the way that the out-of-the-box or the quick start categories work and are presented for reporting just does not work for the way that our organization reports or has historically reported. And we're not totally sure that we can get there, with the tools that are in the system. So an example here is the statement of activities, integral part of the core financial reporting needed for a nonprofit. But in the quick start version, there's a certain level of Sage Intacct expertise that you need to set it up correctly in the first place and to customize it. And the columns and rows that are there out of the box don't just get there. Well, in this template, we're going to make that easy. Let's say, for example, I want to map what should be in my with and without donor restriction columns. Well, in Velixo, in our pre-built template, I can simply expand my row and column mapping, and I can indicate what should be the dimensions that go in these columns. Now, I don't have to create a bunch of custom dimension groups to figure that out. You see, in fact, I'm simply joining dimensions together by using what we call a range expression. And that is going to filter the data right there in real time on the fly. Another big pain point we see, people forget to tag a dimension. Oh, they didn't tag a restriction on this transaction. And now my report doesn't seem to quite make sense. Well, we can filter that out rather than you having to create hundreds of custom account groups to figure out where a dimension was not tagged. We have that at the ready here. So very easy to specify what you want in the rows, what you want in the columns with the way that our template is laid out. So that's an example of a column layout there, but also in the rows. I mentioned before, sometimes people struggle with the quick starts and it's not the way that they want to see things laid out. Well, here in the rows, we give you the flexibility to choose exactly how you want things laid out in pretty basic terms, right? So when I expanded out this column here, you could see, yes, we may have categories in the rows right now, but you have total freedom to define these the way that you want to see them. Meaning, if I want to put an account group here instead, I could type the name of my account group. If I prefer to use a GL account or a range of GL accounts to make up this row, it's as easy as saying, you know what, actually, this is going to be, for example, GL account 41,100. And I could type that into the account code range here. And Velixo would then fill that data in. Same thing, as we get down here, I can define in the statement of activities what make up my different programs that are going to constitute program services, what makes up my management in general, my development and fundraising. So we are pre-built for that gap compliance, but it's very easy for anybody to come in and just type these in. You don't have to have a lot of technical knowledge to figure that out. And because this is Excel, of course, you can go ahead and type over and relabel anything else that you please. So customizing the report is very simple. Now, another thing that might happen is you're in financial reporting, and just like in Intacct, you're going to want to drill down and see what is underneath this number. I don't want to go back to Intacct to do that, right? I have a reporting solution right here. And in Velixo, we have drill down at the ready. I can click on a number and I can either right click or from our Velixo ribbon, which we make available, I can go to drill down and click drill down here. And directly within Velixo here in Excel, we're going to present to you the details of what makes up a given number. So for instance, I'm looking here at the transactions that feed in to program 3 for expenses. And I imagine there's a lot of expenses in this particular program. And I can see the details of all the different GL accounts that make that up. From here, I can choose to explore any of the GL accounts I would like to see and drill all the way down, for example, into a particular utilities account. And in this case, it's where somebody left the restriction blank, shame on them, right? And see the details of that. And then I can also go and view, for example, a particular batch. And in doing so, when I view that batch, we're actually seeing that Velixo has opened up that transaction in Sage Intacct and taken me all the way back to the underlying transaction directly in the system. So we have that drill down all the way back to the source. So that's an example of one of our gap compliant reports. In addition to that, each of our reports is going to come with a pre-built control tab so that this report that's been built, where everything is filtered and grouped a certain way, is still going to tie out in total to my numbers pulled fresh from Sage Intacct at a summary level. Now, the other thing that I'm going to move on to here is another report that we call the net asset roll forward. And this is a very common report for nonprofit organizations. And this report allows you to review the position of your purpose restricted net asset balances for a given date range. By default, of course, we have our filters up here for any of our standard and user-defined dimensions. By the way, we support user-defined dimensions seamlessly within the Velixo product, the same way that we would support standard dimensions. And essentially what this report is telling you for whichever dimension you've chosen to use for funding source is, where did I start? What happened in between, and where did I end on a very simple level? Now, of course, I have drilled down into all of this. I'm again calling out, where did somebody not tag a funding source? That's a very hard thing to do in the native product, as you know, but it's very easy for us to do it here. And when I look at a report like this, the natural byproduct of this is going to be, hey, I need to release revenue from restriction so that I can have a net asset roll forward done for the end of the year. Right. Well, we have a tab that does just that, which we call the TRNA purpose release. You come to this tab, it's pre-built for you. The journal entry is ready to go. It's got all of the details of how the expenditures were broken out by whatever level of detail you choose. For example, no, I don't care to tag the customer dimension. So I'll say, nope, I don't want that there. It drops, falls out of the entry. Or, oh, I changed my mind. I want to put the customer dimension back in. I say yes, it pops back into the entry and expands that level of detail. So lots of flexibility to define how do I want my release entry to look and change that up. If I need to override the amount that I'm releasing, you can override that at any time. If I need to drill down into any of these numbers, I can drill down on them. And then I can set my header information just as I would in any Sage Intacct entry. And I can choose, am I posting this entry or do I want to send it maybe as a draft? And do I want this entry to open as soon as I upload it? And I do, because it's going to be really cool, right? So let's take a look at that. The idea is here, this entry, when I come over to the tab, is already done. All I have to do is look at it and say, yep, this looks great. And then over here, you notice we have these lines that say pending. These are in line with a function in Velixo that we call write back. And our write back is that bidirectional piece I mentioned before. So all I have to do when I have something with write back is come into the Velixo ribbon and click on perform write back from the current sheet. And we're going to see that it's kicked off that process, of course. And it's immediately opening up the Intacct entry that it has produced. So we see now before our eyes that this entry is completed and posted. My release from restriction is done. And I mentioned as well, this live data component, right? So now that I'm back in this file, let me just give it a quick, what we call our smart refresh, which means let me pick up any changes since I know I just did that. And I'm going to refresh the sheet. And of course, it's going to look for any changes that have occurred in my Sage Intacct environment since last time a refresh has happened. And with that refresh done, I no longer show anything left to be released. I can see in that level of detail how much has been released, and my net asset roll forward is automatically up to date. So I've now taken a workflow and simplified it. So you see here, Velixo is not just a reporting tool, it's actually both. You're able to get a reporting tool, but you're also able to really automate workflows and transform your data in one step. All right, so I have just a couple of slides to close us out today and keep us on track with time. And I'm going to switch back over to my slide deck. And I bet you I'm going to have to stop sharing and reshare, so I will do that. Okay, so from current slide and share. All right. So yes, I showed you just the tip of the iceberg there. All right. Velixo for Sage Intacct Nonprofit is a pre-built template solution. You can use the power of Velixo really to do anything with that as your inspiration. Right. And this is the summary of the pre-built templates that we have within our Velixo for Sage Intacct Nonprofit solution. Right. So we've really curated this solution to have something to address the needs of everybody within the organization. Yes, the finance people should love it and get a lot of benefit from it, but we want to meet the needs of the whole organization and not forget about the other folks. right? So you can see here, we address the CFO, we address your audit needs, your compliance needs, we address the program folks, we address org-wide. We have write-back interactive components throughout many of our templates, leveraging that bi-directional capability. We have the ability to generate reports with attachments included in them, extracted directly from your Sage Intacct environment. We have roadmap items, so this is going to continue to grow and develop and become even better, and your feedback always matters on that front as well. Common features you're going to see throughout all of our templates. You choose how you use your dimensions, right? So I was in the Intacct world for a long time as an end user first, as a partner. And one thing that I never like to see is when people are forced into how they use dimensions, right? So we don't make any assumptions about how you're using dimensions. We flex around however your organization needs to do it. We also have robust support for user-defined dimensions, because if you have user-defined dimensions, they need to be supported. You don't need to find out at the 11th hour, oh, they're not really supported, right? There's all these workarounds. We don't have workarounds. We just support them the way they need to be supported. Options tab with settings. So there's options tabs on each of the template, substantially one-time settings you make to tailor to your organization, you're ready to go. Terminology tab to relabel terms in your environment so that you can use the language that your organization speaks. And of course, control tab to confirm data accuracy, because accuracy is number one when it comes to the work that we do in accounting and finance. And there's a lot more, but I'm keeping it summarized for today. So with that, I hope that you all found this kind of lightning talk demo insightful. Hope you can see the benefits of the real-time querying, the way that we leverage Excel to report live on Intacct data, keep it easy, introducing Velixo into nonprofit organizations can be really helpful for those on Sage Intacct, or to supercharge your power to meet the needs of your different constituents, your program directors, your executives, your board member, your funders. I hope you'll join our full-length session. We do have a QR code on the slide here to register. That is next week on August 19th. We will go into even more of the Velixo 101, so you can see, in fact, how we actually pull the data from Sage Intacct during that session as well as some further nonprofit examples. If any of you wish to contact me for questions directly, my email is jnorton@velixo.com. If you wish to talk from a sales perspective, get information on pricing, you can reach out directly to your team at GRF, and we'll all work together to support you. But thank you again, everyone, for your time. Thank you, GRF, for inviting us today. And we really appreciate the opportunity and hope to be in touch again soon.
Thanks so much, Jim. Gonna share my screen back here momentarily. Make sure that I'm sharing the right thing. Share. There we go. All right. Well, with that fabulous presentation from Jim Norton at Velixo, that's going to wrap up our day. I'd like to thank you all for attending today's discussion. Should you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. My information is on the slide deck here if you don't have it already, which will be sent out probably tomorrow morning as well. I would also encourage everyone to register for the Release 4 webinar that I will be hosting on November 13th. The main focus of that session is going to be all things Sage AI. So a lot of what I talked through today, you're going to get to see some live demonstrations and how this is applicable in your organizations right within that session. So thank you all again and have a fabulous rest of your day.